Hey guys, Eric at SideQuest Comics, and today I have probably what's going to be one of my last videos covering Heroes Con. That was just this past month. I know I've been hitting it kind of hard with stuff like my hauls, my top 5 pickups, my AOKs, and also the artwork. I wanted to cover artwork. Now, the other main thing I wanted to try and cover and share with you guys is another reason for me going, and that is the signature. So as you can see, I have a big pile there that is a workout to pick up. But yeah, I wanted to go over some of the signatures and share those with you. Now, signatures, that's something that people will stand in line all day for. Me, I told myself, and I really, I kind of put this challenge to myself not to stand in line all day. I've been caught in that before at other cons, and it kind of sours the experience a little bit when you're spending all your time in these lines, sometimes hours. Now, I did stand in maybe one long line. I had one long line. I had one that was it was okay as an average, and then a couple that were just super quick. I walked up to them, it was odd time of the day, and then I also had a VIP meet and greet signature type of experience in my back pocket. So it was one of those things that if I missed some, I had at least something, that type of thing. So I wasn't going to feel like that, oh, I should have got this or I got that. I limit myself to at least 2 or 3 a day. Sometimes I only got 2. I think the first day I ended up not getting any. And that's okay. I really wanted to limit myself on this because I was there for the whole experience, not to stand in line forever. Now, I know a lot of people are, when they get a signature, they want to get it graded or they want to get it witnessed type of thing. Now, me, I like getting signatures for certain reasons. I get them for me. I was very hesitant on getting books signed when I first started kind of going to cons and meeting the creators. Now, one of the main reasons I look at when I get a signature on a book is, why am I getting this signed? Usually for me, it's because I like the artist or the writer, or maybe it's a favorite character of mine, or maybe it's like a nostalgia book. Maybe it's something that triggers a memory for me back when I was a kid. So a lot of times when I go to these cons, it may be a big artist or a writer or something that has done something phenomenal, but if it doesn't really mean anything to me personally, I kind of tend not to go and get a book signed because sometimes they're kind of pricey. Now, Heroes Con was something a little bit different that I noticed overall. They released like a price list on creators and stuff like that and signatures, and they were actually very reasonable price. A lot of them were 10 to 15 bucks, I think, a signature. Some people had, get a couple signed, and then anything after a certain number, it was like, maybe they charge you $5 or something. And sometimes some of the artists just said, just make a donation. They whatever amount, they just said, just make a donation, which I thought was kind of cool because then, in a way, it goes to a charity, which I really like supporting something like that. So it makes it a little bit easier to stand in line, I guess, in a way, and wait to meet your favorite creator type of thing. So what I wanted to do, as you saw, I kind of have a big stack here. I want to go ahead and break it down a little bit, kind of go over some of the stories behind them, and just maybe go day by day and just show you what I ended up getting at HeroesCon. First up, to show off one of the creators that I got a chance to meet in person and sign some books, was Zander. He's a friend of the show. He actually appeared. We interviewed him, me and the rest of the FOMO squad guys, on Nate's channel on Tuesday night. He came on and told us some fun stories of when he started out in the business in the early 90s. And he's been going strong for a long time. And this is one of his new projects, Sleep by Image Comics. This is number 1. I think number 2 is already out by now at recording of this, and number 3 should be out pretty soon. But he is a writer, artist, colorist. He does it all with Sleep, so it was really cool to get to talk to him and finally get to meet him in person. And you can see us rating his table in the video. This book here, I got number one signed. You can see right there, and he had a couple other books on the table. So one of the other things he got was this. It's actually like a little fanzine book that he had. He had some on the table. So a couple of us grabbed one. As Master of Feng Shui, very humorous. A lot of his projects had this kind of humorous take on it. He signed it right there. So very cool read, very quick one. Kind of a, I guess you call it collector item. I thought it was kind of cool to have. And, you know, after talking to him and finding out more about him and his other projects, I ended up ordering one of his favorite projects was this book, Heck. I'm probably going to zoom down so you guys can see this a little bit better. But Heck is a interesting project where they were challenged to create a certain amount of strips in a certain amount of time, and it kind of just grew into this project of love for him about this character Heck that goes down into hell to take a message to a widow's husband that passed away, and his little sidekick here that's wrapped up like a mummy. Very cool, interesting read. I love this read. And then he drew me a little remark of Heck there and signed it. But yeah, it's a neat book. You can find this on Amazon or I think on his website too. He has it. But yeah, this was the style. It's all black and white. Kind of reminds me of the old Sunday paper comic strip. So I really enjoyed reading this. The chapters were only a couple pages at a time, but I really liked this book. If you guys haven't read this one or know anything about this, check it out. I think I ended up finding my copy on Amazon, and it was a reasonable price. So go ahead and check Heck out. And then zooming back out, I don't know if this one will actually fit on the easel here, guys, but this is his Kaiju Max. So this was volume one. I got the collected one. It's a series that he's worked on for a number of years, and by Oni Press. Talk to him about this. It's very interesting. Kaiju all on like a prison island. I think he said there were supposed to be three different volumes of this. So I went ahead and got the nice hardcover for the first volume. I figure it's a nice collected edition. And I like kaiju, so I'm interested in reading this. But he ended up signing this for me, if I can get to it. And I like this little maps. I love books that have maps. But there we go. He drew me a little kaiju remark and signed it for me. But yeah, very cool. I can't wait. I haven't dove into this one yet because I wanted to finish reading Heck. You know, there's never enough time to read books, right, guys? So very cool. Thank you, Zander. If you guys are interested in finding out more about Zander Cannon and his projects, go back a little ways, maybe a month or two ago on Nate's channel, Hall Yeah, and you can find our little interview that we did with Zander Cannon. Second on my list here to show you guys is Jenny Friesen. Now, Jenny Friesen, I tried to visit the first day I got there, but I just got there to her table a little bit late, and that line got so long. I was like, I cannot do this. Remember, I said my rule, I was not going to stand in super long lines, so I stuck to it, and I ended up coming back the second day after I attempted to see somebody else. We'll get to that in a little bit. So I actually didn't get to see Jenny to the second day of the con. Ended up getting there a lot earlier than that first day. So yeah, I did have to stand in line a little bit. I did get a cool picture with her though. Yeah, it was only about an hour, I think, wait. And once she got there, started signing books, it went pretty quick. Now, she was one of the creators that I liked that she was only charging like, you know, I think she said first three, I think it was. First three were, you know, free. And then anything after that, she was only charging $5. So I had a bunch and I couldn't decide. So I figured, you know, three of them are free. So I could easily pay another $15 to get a couple more. So this was one of the first ones that I've been wanting to get. I tried meeting her at C2E2 a couple times and I missed out. And I love that she signed it in red. It goes with the cover. Cool old picture of Harley Quinn there. This is from Night Terrors, actually. Number 2. Neat variant cover. And then speaking of Harley, I ended up getting this one. Now, you guys might have seen this one when I was talking about artwork. This was her con exclusive. I managed to find it was in partnership with a online retailer, I think it was. But there, if I hold it right there, you can see where she signed it very good. But hard to show this one off with the reflection. But very cool cover. I almost wish this one wasn't foil because I wouldn't mind this one in a regular because then you could really see the cool artwork. But I love that it's got the two hyenas, so that's kind of why I got it. And this, actually, it's got the inside cover, so it's this issue, number 51. But yeah, look at that cover. Beautiful. And then this one, I absolutely love this color from Something Killing the Children. I like how it's dark down on below, so of course her signature is going to show up really good on this one. And with Jenny, it's always about the eyes, right? And I like that it has this chainsaw. It's a little bit different than our typical portraits. And then these last three, like I said, I just ended up paying $5. I got this variant cover of it's Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It's 1 in 25 cover, I think. I love the contrast of her blue signature with all the fire. And then I got a variant cover of Red Sonja number 1 signed by her. Very cool right there. You can see it nice and easy. And then the last one I got by her, I got to get an X-Men book, right? Signed. And it's Laura Kinney Wolverine. And right there. And this is an older one. This is from the X-Men Red series that came, I think this was like 2018, if I remember right. If I'm wrong, I'll put a note down below. But yeah, so that covered all my pictures for Jenny. I probably could have got more if I brought them with me, and she had some cool stuff there, like variant covers. I missed out on the cool Wonder Woman print that she had that actually had a gold foil for the lasso. That was the first day. I think that's why the line was so long that first day, because she had a limited number. But oh well, that's okay. I got some books signed, and I'm happy with that. Now, the third creator I got to meet was legendary Roy Thomas. Now, this was day 2. He was only there for 1 day. And like I said, I tried to see him right away on Saturday, but it didn't work out. They capped the line. So that's when I went and I saw Jenny. And then they said, come back a little bit later, like at noon. So I did. I did have to get back in line. At least they let me get back in line. And this was my long wait for the con. This was a 2-hour wait. But I did eventually get up there, and I think it was worth it because Roy Thomas was a bucket list creator for me. And what I ended up getting is this first one here, and I talked to him a little bit about is Captain Carrot and the Amazing Zoo Crew, number 1. I have the whole 20-issue series. He signed it right there along the trade dress. And I told him, I said, this to me as a kid was my Peter Porker. I was drawn more to the DC animal superheroes. So it really meant a lot to me. Like I said before, I got books signed that mean something to me. This was a nostalgia book. I love this book. I actually think I went out and replaced my original. The original was from back in the day. It was pretty beat up. So I got a little nicer copy for him to sign. And then I pulled the trigger on this book. This is a book I got about a year ago, but it's a very big book. And with Roy Thomas, I'm like, okay, I got to get a big book. And what better than the first cameo, first appearance of Wolverine in it, whichever, side that you're on in this book. I don't care. I end up getting all of them, or I'm trying to, basically. And it still means a lot. It's still a big book. So he signed it right there. Very cool to have him sign that book. And this one, I wanted to be a little bit different. So Conan would not be in comics if it wasn't for Roy Thomas early in those 70s. And this one was late 70s. It's a book and record set where you get to read. I thought it was cool to do something different. He signed it right there. I'm thinking about sending this one and then getting it graded just to preserve it, more or less. But cool art by John Buscema on here. Map again, love those maps. And yeah, it was only $15 when I got this, guys. So I'm kind of starting to get into these. I want to try and find some more of these book and record things. Make a little bit of room and keep going with some Conan. So this Conan, number 23, I got because it's the first appearance of Red Sonja. Another important reason that I really appreciate Roy Thomas is he brought Red Sonja into the world of comics. So yeah, this was her first appearance. Unfortunately, she's not on the cover, so she is inside. And look at this trade dress. Perfect way to sign it. Black on white. Shows up real good. And then if I'm going to get first appearance, I got to get her first cover appearance. So there she is, first cover appearance. Signed it right there. Thank you, Rich Big Nasty. He was the reason I got this signed, because just in case I didn't make it back or they wouldn't let me back in line, he grabbed this one for me and got it signed. Thank you, Rich. And then last up, I got two more for Roy. I got Savage Sword of Conan #1 signed. He signed it right there. And this one's a big book because this is the first appearance of Red Sonja's chainmail bikini. So that, and it's a #1. It's a #1 issue for Savage Sword that ran all through the 70s and the 80s. So very cool black and white stories. If you have not checked out Savage Sword and you kind of like Conan, check this one out because they got around the Comic Code Authority in a lot of stories, so it's a little bit grittier. And then the last one I got by Roy was this beauty here, Savage Tales #1, Roy Thomas, and this is best known for the first appearance of Man Things. It's a medium grade copy, so I wasn't concerned about having them sign it and then maybe sending it in later. I don't care about that stuff. Like I said, it's a cool book. I love the cover. I love the Conan in here and Man Thing in there too. So it's a bonus for me. But yeah, it's once again just some fun books that I really love that I am happy to get signed by a legendary Roy Thomas. Now, the fourth book that I got signed, fifth, sixth, and seventh by different creators was this book, Heroes for Hope, X-Men #1. This came out in the mid 80s. This was a big book for me. This was a book that I think turned me on to the X-Men. Now, I started this little project kind of after I saw Mike from Lunch Money Comics. He's doing this. He's way ahead of me. But I thought it was a cool idea. It's one of those books that was a charity book. A lot of different creators worked on this. And I think it's cool to get as many signatures on a book that you can. I started doing this with a modern X-Men book. It was like a reprinting of Giant Size X-Men one, but it's modern artists and creators. So I started that one too. But this one is, I think, the original project. So I got a couple more signatures added to it at Heroes Con. I wish I got more, but I think I mentioned I did not remember this book on the first day. I got one or two the second day because I already stood in line. And then the third day, I kind of ran around, tried to find as many as I could. Sometimes they weren't at the table because they were on a break, lunch break, or maybe at some kind of a panel. So I missed some of them. I just ran out of time. But to go over a couple that I did manage to grab, I got, I tried to hit as many as I could. I got writer Mike Brown, who signed right here. And I mean, this is a great cover for this with a lot of white space. And then on the back, I actually got Jim Starlin, the artist. So he did the back cover, and he signed right there. I did try to get, I think it was Al Milgram did the inks on the back here, if I remember right. But he was at a panel, and he was supposed to be back by a certain time, and the line was growing and growing and growing. And it was toward the end of the day, and I couldn't wait anymore because I had to go to that VIP event. So I had to actually leave the line, unfortunately. But I did also manage to get on the front. Charles Vess did art on this, so I got him down here by Nightcrawler. And then JR, John Romita Jr., right there. His line was really, really short on Sunday. So I was like, I'm going to jump in line, have him sign this now, because I was seeing him later, and I was actually already over my 10 books, and I really wanted to get this one signed. So I just went and stood in line and had him sign that one. And that was about it, actually. So I ended up adding 1, 2, 3, 4 new signatures to the book, which is okay. Not as many as I would have liked. There's a couple artists that I just couldn't find, like I said, or I just ran out of time, or they canceled. That was another thing. Some of the artists that I think worked on this were going to be there, but canceled. And unfortunately, Jim Shooter canceled and then shortly passed away. So, God rest his soul. I would have liked to get him to sign on it, but it happens. This is an old book. It came out in the 80s. A lot of the creators are starting to pass on, being the age of it. So I am just happy to add a couple more. And I think it looks pretty cool. It's starting to fill up. So yeah, I got Art Adams, Chris Claremont, and then the new one. So very cool project book to get signed. So the last book there I was talking about was Heroes for Hope with John Romita Jr. signing it. I am jumping right into him. He was my last creator that I met at the whole weekend because I had the VIP meet and greet experience with him, where we got to bring 10 books. We got a print, and I got original headshot drawing also. So it was very cool to hang out with him, hear stories by him. He told us some funny jokes, actually dirty jokes, and then, we got to ask him a bunch of questions. So that was definitely the highlight of the con for me. And starting off, I jumped right at this one. This was a big key book for him. And I remember reading this back in the day, and I was like, oh my God, this new villain for Spider Man is just crazy. So 238, Amazing Spider Man. This actually is a replacement for my original. And I was lucky enough to find a Canadian variant of this, and he signed it for me. So I was very happy to get that one signed by John Romita Jr. And another one I had to get signed by him that was a big book is this Daredevil 254, which is the first appearance of Typhoid Mary. Very cool cover of Daredevil there. This was like late 80s, early 90s when he was working on this title. And I mean, his signature really shows up good on the Daredevil. And then I had to go old school and Contest of Champions #1. I think this is actually my third copy of this book. I have like a quarter bin version that's really beat up, and then another one, and this one's a newsie, so it's very cool to get them signed. And it's right there, right on Sasquatch. And this is a big key book. It was a 3-issue series that was intended to kind of help promote the Olympics at that time, but I think there was a boycott, and they had to switch gears a little bit on this because this book has a lot of first appearances in it. I think I have featured this on the channel before as kind of a big book, but look at all these different superheroes. I think this was one of those first limited series that grouped up a lot of the superheroes in one storyline. I mean, this was before Secret Wars and all those other crossovers that they did in the 80s. So very cool to get that one signed by him. Now, switching gears a little bit, here's a DC comic that John Romita Jr. did. He loves doing this kind of portrait. I've seen him redo this kind of theme where the superhero is, kind of brooding in the rain like that. And this was a variant cover for Batman 51. Very cool to see this, him doing DC. We're used to seeing him do Marvel, but there's a reason why I got this one, and I will explain in a minute, because the next one I got signed by him was this one from the newer Daredevil series. This is #1. Again, our hero brooding in the rain, signature right there. Now, the reason I got these two, so let me see if I can do this. So we got this one and we got this one, right? Well, it's going to go with this one, which is what started it originally. This Peter Parker Spider-Man that I got signed by him and his father, John Romita Sr. So this was something I got offline. I thought it was really, really cool. I kind of is, number 312 out of 2,500 that were signed by the father and son. And I thought it would be neat to actually put these all together, kind of a theme thing going on there. So that was the plan. That was my original goal when I first got the Spider-Man, and I had this Daredevil, and then I found out he was going to be there. I'm like, okay, I got to find that Batman one too. And, it's just what John Romita is one of those creators that's on my bucket list. He was very, he influenced me as a young teenager when I was starting to collect comics and read. So definitely had to get those ones. And speaking of influencing, I probably would be collecting X-Men if it wasn't for John Romita. So this was early. This was like one of the first X-Men that I read. And this was a very big book where Rachel becomes the Phoenix in Uncanny X-Men. So I thought this was a cool one to get signed by him, mainly because I also got signed by Chris Claremont at C2E2 maybe a year ago. So very cool to get a double signature X-Men book. And then that's not the only X-Men book. I had to get my boy Wolverine book signed there, right there. very cool, iconic 207, Uncanny X-Men. And then another Wolverine one. Why not? We got to get the anniversary one. So yeah, this one's a newsie. Perfect place to get it signed. And then some more X-Men. This was a book that I bought back in the day. 130 Uncanny X-Men. Look, I paid $15 for it, probably in like 1985, I think, when I was a kid. I signed it right there, and this is Dazzler's first appearance. So I pulled that trigger, had to get it. This is one of those books I probably eventually would like to get Chris Claremont to sign it. Another double signature would be pretty cool. And then lastly, something different, got this one. This is a Danish X-Men comic, which is the Trial of Magneto. Signed it right there. And it's kind of cool because it goes with another one, that bonus one that I got signed was the original number 200 Uncanny X-Men. So there we go. I got the Danish and the American version of the same book signed. Well, that covers all my creators, so let's go ahead and go up and we'll close out this Heroes Con signature video. Well, guys, there is just some of the things that I got at Heroes Con signed. A lot of fun stuff that like I said, I like doing this stuff for me personally. Not looking to make money, not looking to flip them and grade them and all that stuff. Just nostalgia. A lot of it's based on nostalgia. And I hope me kind of going over some of the stories and talking about the different artists there kind of remind you guys that sometimes you got to go in with a plan. Like I had a list of creators there that I was like, like I said, I limited them. I wrote them down so I had them in mind. If I maybe missed them on the first day, I tried the second day. And then unfortunately, sometimes I did run out a little bit of time, or, like in the case of the Heroes for Hope, I forgot to bring it on the first day with me. And I was okay with that. I got what I could there. And eventually you get to that point where you're just like, okay, I'm done. I just want to dig. I don't want to stand in lines anymore, that type of thing. So I think what I can take from it is it was a good learning experience. This was the first time I really went in with a real plan, wrote them down, and stuck to what I wanted to do. I didn't say, oh, there's another creator that I like type of thing. I got a book, let's get this signed, or go up to the table and let me grab one of these things and get signed. So I hope that kind of helps guide you guys, because this was a good experience for me to help me rein that kind of thing in. So, but that's it for today, guys. If you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that thumbs up, like, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. I really appreciate that. And let me know in the comments down below what you guys thought of these comics I got signed, whether it was the VIP experience. Have you ever done anything like that? Or is this similar like what you would do just to get it signed? Or do you, worry about getting it graded and, witnessed and stuff like that? So let me know down below in the comments. And while you're at it, head over to Instagram, give me a follow and like some posts that I do there. But thanks, guys, for joining me today for this Heroes Con signature books. I appreciate you guys watching, and keep an eye open. Maybe I'll throw all my raw footage and photos together down the line, not right away. But this is going to be about it for Heroes Con. Thanks for watching, guys. And while you're out there getting your book signed, happy questing, and we'll talk to you next time.